The examination hall buzzed with tension. Pens scratched paper, and the only sound besides them was the steady hum of the ceiling fan that creaked above. Amara's heart pounded like a drum. She stared at the chemistry question paper, the words blurred together. Weeks of skipping classes to hang out with her friends had finally caught up to her. Desperation clouded her judgment. She slowly unfolded a tiny paper hidden inside her calculator. Her hand trembled as she glanced around. The invigilator had just turned toward the other row. She copied an answer. Just one. Then another. But a shadow fell across her desk. "Miss Amara," said Mr. Ogunlai, the sternest teacher in the school. "What's that?" Her stomach dropped. Everyone looked up. Before she could explain, another voice spoke. Measured. "Sir, that's mine. I dropped it by mistake." It was Tunde, the class genius, the boy everyone admired but few truly knew. He sat 2 rows behind her, yet somehow he'd stepped in before she could be humiliated. Mr. Ogunlai frowned but nodded. "Be careful next time." After the exam, Amara cornered Tunde by the school gate. "Why did you lie for me?" she asked, tears threatening to spill. He shrugged, adjusting his glasses. "Because you looked scared." Then he walked away, leaving her with confusion and gratitude tangled in her chest. Tunde had always been an enigma. The kind of student who aced every subject, yet seemed to exist outside the world of teenage excitement. While others laughed in the cafeteria, he stayed under the mango tree, reading. Amara couldn't stop thinking about him. She watched from afar, guilt gnawing at her. She had narrowly escaped expulsion all because of him. She owed him. So she decided to talk to him again. One afternoon, she found him sketching something behind the library. "You draw?" she asked, surprised. He looked startled. "It's just something I do to think." The drawing was incredible, a portrait of their school gate, perfectly detailed. "You're amazing," she whispered. Tunde blushed faintly. "It's nothing. Just a hobby. My parents think it's a waste of time." Amara saw a flicker of sadness in his eyes, the same pressure she felt in her own life. To be perfect, to never fail. In that moment, she realized, even geniuses had wounds. Amara wasn't used to feeling indebted to anyone. She was the girl who laughed too loud, lived too fast, and didn't think twice. But Tunde had changed something. During lunch, she approached him again. "Let me repay you." "You don't have to," he said without looking up from his notes. "I want to," she insisted. "You saved me. Let me do something for you." Tunde sighed. "I don't need anything." Amara thought for a second. "Fine. Then I'll find something you do need." Over the next few days, she observed him quietly. Always alone. Always studying. Never smiling. She realized what he needed wasn't a favor, it was life. So she began her plan. Operation Unfreeze the Genius. The next week, Amara signed up for Tunde's after-school study group, a shock to everyone. "You?" laughed her friend Chioma. "You don't even like homework." Amara grinned. "Maybe I'm turning over a new leaf." Tunde looked puzzled when she joined, but didn't protest. During the sessions, Amara struggled to follow his explanations, but she kept trying. He noticed her determination. After class one day, she said, "You're good at teaching, you know." He smiled faintly. "You're the first to say that." "And you," she teased, "need help doing something not academic. Ever had fun before?" He raised an eyebrow. "Define fun." Amara laughed. "Exactly my point." That day, she decided she'd teach Tunde how to live, just as he'd taught her to study. Their friendship began with small steps. She convinced him to join the inter-class football match as a referee. He protested, but eventually gave in. Watching him try to blow the whistle wrong had Amara in stitches. "You're terrible at this," she teased. He smirked. "Then I must be learning from the best." They started spending time together outside class, buying suya, walking home, sharing stories. Amara realized he had dreams too. He wanted to become an engineer and build things that mattered. But beneath his calm exterior was pressure, a family that demanded excellence. She saw it when he flinched at every text from his father. "Hey," she said one evening, "you don't have to be perfect all the time." He looked at her for a long moment, then whispered, "Neither do you." High school never stayed quiet for long. Soon, whispers filled the hallways. "Amara and Tunde? That's impossible. She's just using him to pass." Amara pretended not to care, but it stung. Tunde ignored it completely, or so she thought. One day, she found him alone under the mango tree again, sketchbook open, expression distant. "You heard what they're saying?" she asked. "Yes," he said softly. "But it doesn't matter. I know who you are." Her chest warmed. "Do you?" He nodded. "Someone who's more than the mistakes she's made." It was the first time she believed it too. The more she tried to get close, the more she realized Tunde had built walls, high ones. Whenever conversation drifted toward his family, he went silent. Whenever she joked about emotions, he deflected. One afternoon, she caught him drawing again, this time, a portrait of a child sitting alone in the rain. "Who's that?" she asked. He didn't answer, just closed the book. "Someone I used to be." Amara felt something ache deep inside her. Maybe saving him wasn't just about fun. Maybe it was about healing something broken, something even he didn't talk about. It was after closing hours when Amara made her vow. "I'm not stopping until you smile, really smile." Tunde chuckled. "That sounds impossible." "Then watch me make it possible." Over the following weeks, she dragged him to inter-house sports, dance practice, even the school canteen's spicy pepper soup contest. Slowly, his laughter became real. For the first time, he started sharing stories: how his mother died when he was young, how his father buried himself in work. "He expects me to be what he never was," Tunde admitted quietly. Amara reached for his hand. "Then let's show him you can be more." The day Amara got her first A in chemistry, she ran to the mango tree. "Tunde, guess what?" He smiled knowingly. "You passed." She laughed. "Not just passed, I killed it." For the first time, he lifted her in a spontaneous hug. She froze, then hugged him back. Their laughter carried across the yard. Later, as they sat side by side, she said, "Feels good, doesn't it? To win together." He looked at her, eyes warm. "Yes. Together." Something unspoken lingered between them, fragile, new, but real. Just when life seemed perfect, chaos struck. During midterms, a mix-up in exam scripts led to Tunde being accused of helping Amara cheat again. The principal called them in. "Tunde, we expected better." Amara stood up, trembling. "It wasn't him. It was me." He tried to stop her, but she didn't let him. "He didn't deserve this. He's the best person I know." The silence that followed was heavy. But Tunde smiled slightly, pride shining through his worry. For the first time, she was the one protecting him. The scandal eventually faded, as most things in school do. The principal, after some investigation, realized the mistake wasn't theirs. Still, the experience left Tunde withdrawn again. Amara refused to let him retreat into his shell. "You're not disappearing on me," she said one afternoon, standing in front of his desk like a guard. He sighed. "You should be studying for your next exam." "I'm studying you," she said with a grin. He tried not to laugh, but he did. It was soft, unguarded, the kind of laughter that made her feel light. "See," she said triumphantly. "That's the smile I missed." He shook his head, smiling wider. "You're impossible." "Maybe," she said, "but you like it." And he did. Though he wouldn't admit it yet, she had become the brightest part of his days. The sky opened that Friday afternoon without warning. Everyone ran for shelter, but Amara and Tunde were caught under the open courtyard. They dashed beneath the school veranda, dripping wet and laughing breathlessly. Amara wrung her uniform skirt. "You look ridiculous." "So do you," Tunde replied, his glasses fogged. Their laughter died slowly, replaced by a quiet so thick it felt alive. Rain drummed on the roof as she looked up at him. "Tunde," she said softly, "why did you really help me that day?" He hesitated. "Because I couldn't watch you fall for one mistake. You reminded me of my mom, always fighting the world, but still smiling." Her chest tightened. "That's sweet." He looked away, embarrassed. "Forget I said that." But Amara didn't. That night, she replayed his words over and over, realizing something dangerous: she was falling for him. Rumors spread again, this time about their relationship. Girls who once mocked Amara now envied her. Boys started teasing Tunde, calling him Mr. Loverboy. Amara hated it. Not because it wasn't true, but because it made Tunde uncomfortable. "You okay?" she asked one morning as they met at the school gate. "I'm fine," he said, forcing a smile. "No, you're not." He sighed. "People are watching. It's distracting." Amara crossed her arms. "Then let them watch. Maybe they'll learn something." That made him laugh again. "You're impossible." But deep down, both knew the rumors were only half wrong. At the interschool science fair, a new boy from King's Academy joined their project group. Femi, charming, confident, and a little too friendly with Amara. "You're really talented," Femi told her one afternoon, showing her how to handle lab samples. Tunde watched quietly, pretending not to care. But his hand tightened around his pen. Later that day, Amara noticed. "You've been quiet since morning." "I'm always quiet," he said flatly. "Don't give me that. You're jealous." He flushed. "Of him?" "No." She smiled knowingly. "Good. Because if I liked anyone, it wouldn't be him." Tunde's heartbeat quickened, but he said nothing. That night, for the first time, he couldn't concentrate on his books, only on her smile. Amara's grades were improving, and Tunde was proud until he overheard his father say, "She's a distraction. You're slipping." Those words echoed in his mind. He began avoiding her shorter conversations, fewer study sessions. Amara noticed immediately. "You're shutting me out," she said one evening. "I'm just busy," he lied. "Busy or scared?" He looked away. "Maybe both." She didn't yell. She just whispered, "I thought we were friends." When she walked away, he felt something crack inside him. The silence between them that week was the loudest noise he'd ever heard. Days turned to weeks, and tension brewed. During a group project presentation, Amara made a mistake and Tunde, frustrated, corrected her harshly in front of everyone. Her face burned. After class, she stormed up to him. "You embarrassed me. I was trying to help." "No, you were trying to prove you're smarter." They argued until both were red-faced. Then she said the one thing she regretted instantly. "Maybe everyone's right, maybe you don't even know how to feel." The look on his face shattered her. He didn't speak. Just turned and walked away. That night, she cried herself to sleep, wishing she could take it all back. Tunde didn't come to school the next day. Nor the one after. Amara's chest ached with guilt. She found herself wandering by the mango tree alone, staring at the sketches he'd left behind, one of her laughing. Finally, she gathered courage and went to his house. His father opened the door, surprised. "He's upstairs, but he doesn't want visitors." She climbed anyway. Tunde sat by the window, sketching the rain. "You're still mad?" she asked. He didn't look up. "No. Just tired. I didn't mean what I said." "I know." He paused. "I just didn't think it would hurt this much." They sat in silence. Then quietly she said, "Let me stay. Even if you don't talk." He nodded, and for the first time, silence healed instead of breaking them. It was a Saturday evening when things shifted. They met again at the school compound to finish their science project. The setting sun painted everything gold. Amara said softly, "You forgive me?" Tunde smiled faintly. "You never gave me a choice." She laughed, then grew serious. I missed you. I missed you too. They stood there, the air thick with everything unsaid. Then, slowly, Tunde reached out and brushed a raindrop from her cheek, though there was no rain this time. Neither spoke after that. They didn't need to. Working side by side again felt natural. They fell into rhythm, Amara's creativity balancing Tunde's precision. Their project, Sustainable Energy for Local Communities, was selected for the national competition. But more than that, they rediscovered ease. One night, Amara said, "Do you ever think about the future?" He nodded. "Sometimes. It used to be all grades and goals. Now I think about sunsets, and people who make them worth watching." She smiled, knowing he meant her. It was the first time she saw Tunde's world not through formulas but through feeling. The school announced its annual talent show. Amara begged Tunde to participate. "Sing with me," she pleaded. He laughed. "Sing? I can't even hum properly." "Then play piano." "I'll sing." He resisted, but eventually agreed. On the night of the show, the crowd was loud, lights dazzling. When he began to play, his fingers trembled until Amara started singing. Their harmony filled the hall. By the time they finished, the entire room was on its feet. Later, backstage, she hugged him tightly. "See, you can live beyond grades," he whispered, "only because you showed me how." After the talent show, everything between them changed. They didn't have to say it. It was in the way he looked at her when she laughed, the way she lingered when he spoke. But neither dared confess. During lunch, Chioma nudged Amara. "You and Tunde, Amara smiled shyly. "It's complicated." Later that evening, Tunde walked her home. The sunset glowed orange and pink. They talked about music, dreams, everything except the thing that mattered most. At her gate, she said softly, "Good night, Tunde." "Good night, Amara." Their hands brushed. A spark. A pause. Then he turned and walked away before his courage could betray him. The next week was exams. Stress, sweat, sleepless nights. But every afternoon, they met under the mango tree, their quiet refuge. "This place feels like ours," Amara said, lying on the grass. "It is," Tunde said. "No one else sees it like we do." They sat in comfortable silence. A butterfly landed on her notebook, and she smiled. "Maybe that's a sign." "Of what?" "That something good's coming." He smiled faintly. "I think it's already here." They didn't know it then, but that simple conversation would become the memory they both clung to when everything later fell apart. When exam results were released, Amara passed with flying colors. For the first time, she didn't just survive, she excelled. But Tunde got second place. He didn't mind, but his father did. "You're slipping," Mr. Adewale barked. "You're losing focus because of that girl." Tunde said nothing, but later that night, he wrote a letter to Amara. "Amara, you taught me to live. But maybe I've lived too much and studied too little. I need to fix this before I lose everything. Don't wait for me." He slipped the letter into her locker the next morning, but she never saw it. The janitor accidentally threw it away. By the time she realized he was avoiding her again, it was too late. Tunde withdrew into himself, consumed by guilt and pressure. He stopped drawing, stopped talking. Even the teachers noticed. One afternoon, Amara found him sitting in an empty classroom, head in hands. "You're breaking," she said gently. He looked up, eyes hollow. "I don't know who I am anymore. Without the grades, without you." She stepped closer. "Then find out. But not alone." He shook his head. "My father's right. You deserve better than this mess." "Don't decide that for me," she said fiercely. "You saved me once. Let me save you now." For the first time, he didn't push her away. Amara began showing up every morning, dragging him out for walks, bringing him snacks, making him laugh again. Slowly, his sketches returned. One day, he showed her a new drawing, both of them sitting under the mango tree. "It's us," he said quietly. She smiled. Then we're doing okay. He nodded. Because of you. No, she said softly. Because of us. They didn't call it love yet. But it was there in every shared look, every silent promise to never let each other drown again. By term's end, things were looking up. Tunde's grades recovered. Amara was chosen as class prefect. Life, for once, seemed balanced. During the end-of-term party, the lights were dim and music filled the hall. Amara wore a sky-blue dress that made Tunde's heart stutter. You look beautiful, he said shyly. She smiled. You finally said it. They danced awkwardly, sweetly, lost in their own rhythm. Everyone watched, but they didn't care. For that moment, they were just two hearts finding their way back to each other. When the song ended, she whispered, "This feels like the beginning." He smiled. It is. Final exams arrived, the last hurdle before graduation. Sitting in the same exam hall where it all began, Amara glanced at Tunde. He caught her eye and smiled. She thought back to that first day, the fear, the shame, the moment he saved her. Now, she didn't need saving. She was ready. When the papers were collected, they both laughed softly. Full circle, she said. Full circle, he agreed. And somewhere deep inside, both knew this wasn't the end of their story, just a new chapter waiting to be written. Graduation day. Caps in the air, laughter, tears. Amara and Tunde stood side by side, clutching their certificates. Top 2 in the class, the principal announced. Amara and Tunde, congratulations. The crowd cheered. Tunde turned to her. We did it. She smiled. Together. Then, in front of everyone, she pulled him into a hug. Not out of impulse, but gratitude. You showed me I'm more than my mistakes. And you, he whispered, showed me life beyond the grades. After the ceremony, they wandered back to their mango tree one last time. The air smelled of dust and new beginnings. So, she said, what happens now? University. Engineering for me. Maybe art, if I'm brave enough. She grinned. And I'll study communications. Tell stories, maybe even ours. He laughed. Make me sound cool, okay? She nudged him playfully. No promises. They sat in silence, both realizing they were stepping into new worlds. But somehow, the bond between them felt unbreakable. Weeks later, the results were published. They had both been accepted into different universities miles apart. Amara was happy but terrified of losing what they'd built. They met one last time before parting ways, at the bus park under a sky streaked with pink. Promise me something, she said. Don't lose the part of you that laughs. He nodded. Only if you promise not to stop smiling. She hesitated, then stood on tiptoe and kissed him gentle, certain. That's for saving me. He smiled. That's for teaching me to live. As the bus drove away, they waved, both crying and smiling at once. And though distance stretched between them, their hearts stayed tethered, a reminder that sometimes, love isn't about perfect timing or flawless grades. It's about two souls who learn to grow, forgive, and dream together.